What happens if a new development condo building doesn't sell out? We'll demystify this topic in the following video. I'm Nick at Hauseit. Check out our website, hauseit.com, to learn how to save up to 6% when selling and save up to 2% when buying a home here in New York City. So let's get started. While most new development condo buildings sell out successfully, it's a good idea to consider what might happen if you buy into a new construction condo building in New York City which is unable to sell all of its apartments. As we'll explain, condo buildings with a large number of unsold units can sometimes be a risky purchase. If a condo building struggles with sales, the developer will typically seek to refinance the construction debt as a first step. If sales continue to slump, the sponsor may be forced to aggressively reduce prices or convert some units into rentals. A developer may also seek to offload units in a bulk transaction to an investor buyer. In a worst-case scenario, the developer defaults on the units and they're taken over by the lender, who either sells them or possibly holds onto them until market conditions improve. How might this impact you as the owner of an individual apartment in a building like this? Well, the value of your apartment will decrease if the developer cuts prices, converts to rentals, or offloads units in a bulk transaction. Unsold apartments can also make it harder for you to sell or refinance, as lenders might not be willing to make loans to prospective purchasers of an apartment like yours in a building which has these issues. In a worst-case scenario, you'll face higher common charges if the developer defaults, as the other owners, including yourself, will be forced to make up for the lost common charges which the developer failed to pay on the unsold apartments. Now let's take a step back and start with the basics of new development condos. A developer, also known as a sponsor, typically finances a new development building with a construction loan. Construction loans usually have 3-year terms with 2 one-year extensions. In an ideal world, the length of the financing coincides perfectly with the complete sellout of all apartments in the building. Now, if a new development experiences slower than anticipated sales, the developer will need to refinance in order to push out the maturity date of the building's loan obligations. Refinancings for new development condo buildings happen all the time, and the act of refinancing itself by no means is a guarantee that there will be larger problems with the building in the future. Typically, a developer who is experiencing slow sales will pay off its high interest rate construction loan with what's called a condominium inventory loan, which generally offers a lower interest rate, but more importantly extends the maturity date of the development's financing by a few years. This lower cost, longer dated financing helps the developer to better align the realistic length of time it will take to sell the remaining apartments with the duration of the underlying financing. It also gives the developer more resiliency to resist making large price cuts and possibly ride out a soft market and wait to sell units into a stronger market. If a new development continues to struggle with sales, the developer may elect to convert some of the unsold units into rental apartments. The rental income helps cover some of the carrying costs of the unsold apartments for the sponsor. Unfortunately, rental units can change the feel of your building due to frequent turnover, and it may also increase wear and tear on the building as a whole. The nature of the amenities offered in the building might also change as a result of some of the units becoming rental apartments. These apartments could remain as rentals for several years until market conditions improve, at which point the developer may reattempt to sell them. The risk of unsold apartments being converted into rental apartments is something which is typically outlined in the condominium's offering plan, which the purchaser's attorney reviews prior to advising the purchaser to sign a contract. If market conditions don't improve, a new development with struggling sales may also elect to slash amenities in order to preserve cash flow. A building with a large number of unsold units may also attempt to raise revenue by increasing fees such as subletting or alteration fees, or by implementing new fees altogether, such as a flip tax. In the most extreme scenario, a struggling developer with a large number of unsold apartments may stop paying common charges on these units and ultimately default on their obligations to a lender. While the lender takes responsibility for paying common charges on a going forward basis, there may not be enough cash to cover the previously unpaid common charges after paying lender expenses. Now, such a scenario results in a permanent loss to the condo building's finances, and this means that other owners would be responsible for filling any budgetary shortfall in the building's financials. This additional financial strain on unit owners may also create a chain reaction of additional defaults within the building. And to make matters worse, owners under financial strain may struggle to sell since lenders likely won't provide financing for a purchaser if a large number of apartments in the building are in default and/or remain unsold. As this extreme scenario unfolds, the lender eventually forecloses on the developer. If the lender decides not to hold on to the foreclosed units, they may be sold at auction, perhaps for very low prices. A prospective purchaser, such as a large investor, may also have different end goals compared to the existing owners. For example, if an investor who is looking to maximize cash flow purchases the apartments, they may exert influence on the condo board to defer or minimize building capital improvement projects. While the risk of a worst-case scenario with a full-blown default and foreclosure remains low, it's a more likely outcome for smaller and lesser-known developers. As a purchaser, it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with the developer of the building you're considering by looking at their track record of similar buildings. In conclusion, the primary risk of buying into a new development condo building with a large number of unsold apartments is that the value of your apartment may decline. The feel of your condo building may also change if unsold apartments become rental units. And in a worst-case scenario, you may also be responsible for paying higher common charges in the event of a default by the developer. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. We greatly appreciate it. I'm Nick at Hauseit, and we'll see you on the next video.